What's up, everybody? I'll wait a minute till people start coming on. Let me start. Let me get the video up on my screen. All right, it's pretty good. If the wall unit's too loud, let me know. I probably should turn it off. Let me turn that off right now while nobody's on. What's up? What's up? What's up? Let's see. Oops, I paused it. All right, one. I think I messed up my own. Oops. Damn it, my feed was like pretty pretty live. Now I've got like a big long lag. How do I fix that? Not quite sure. Let's see. Maybe if I go like this. All right, let's try it again. All right. It's not perfect, but whatever. So I am going to, I don't know, just kind of open up about this year. I've not had a really good year. I've talked to a few people who do this, and you know, everybody I've talked to had a rough spring, and mine was no different. Mine was pretty bad, actually. So I don't know. I just been feeling like I should probably, let everybody know how I've been doing. With it being what I'll say is my worst year. I wouldn't say ever. Those first, I guess, 5, 6 years were pretty tough, but I was having a blast. You know what I mean? But I guess in the last 6 years, this is my hardest year for sure. But like all things, you have a bad year and you learn from it. I've been learning a ton. I'm also blessed that I still have all my guys. You know what I mean? Like everybody's still working, everybody's still making money. It's just pretty much the company itself, like the profit is not doing good. Um, and there's been a few reasons. There's a few reasons for that. Um, and I've kind of been dumbfounded trying to figure out why at first. You know, um, I've ramped up my sprinkler division that cost a ton of money. I've spent about 130K in cash on sprinkler parts, and I have them stored in a warehouse here at the shop. So, so that was a big investment that I knew I was going to do going into the year, and so When things started to get really bad with cash flow, about, I would say, 3 months ago, um, I was kind of blaming it on that because I'm not really a numbers guy, to be honest with you. And I think when you're like 500K to 1 million, maybe 1.5, um, you don't have a lot of, I would say, managers. You know, you call people managers, but they're still basically out in the field. They're supervising and they're working. They're making money because you can't really afford, somebody making good wages to just kind of be a boss. You know what I mean? Or just like, let people know what to do in the morning and then kind of drive around and not do anything. You can't really afford that. And even when you can't afford it, that's not typically what they do. They still do. They may not actually be on a job with a wheelbarrow kind of thing, but they're managing multiple crews, and so because of all the revenue that all the crews bring in, you can kind of afford to have somebody managing all that stuff, especially at the beginning of that stage, right? But in my case, and you would probably call that person a foreman, right? Well, in my case, my foreman's been with me for, you know, 5 years, maybe 6. But he's actually been in the foreman position for, I would say, going on 2 years, but more like 1.5, where he's like, doesn't touch a wheelbarrow kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of new to me, and he's not the only one. I have 7 people like that, me included. All right, I'm throwing myself in that mix as well because I do have a wage that I have to pay, and it's a healthy wage. You know what I mean? And I've got me and 6 others that make a good wage, like to where they can do their job, focus on it, not worrying about, am I going to get a raise or this, that. They're getting paid really well. Uh, Obviously, can we all make more money? Sure. Like, we all want to make more money, but I think me and the 6 other top line managers that I have in my company, we're good. We're good with our wage. And we're close enough as far as like we're aware of how the business is doing pretty regularly. Like we meet about it, we meet and talk about it a lot. And so I think everybody's aware that we're basically at our max wage with the way the company's operating at this moment. So we're good there. But it's still high wage and we still have to pay me and 6 others that don't actually bring in revenue. So that's so far we've talked about my warehouse that I've spent 130K on to stock up so my sprinkler guys don't have to go to the store. And let me tell you, man, it's amazing. I love it. If you have a sprinkler division, I think it'd be something you'd really. I'm not recommending you do it. I'm just saying if you had it like a magic wand, you would love it. And at this point, it's stocked up. It basically costs about $100 to $200 a day to keep it stocked that way, no matter what kind of jobs or projects we have. So in that sense, it's freaking amazing. By the way, if anybody could tell me if the sound is good, I'd appreciate that. While we're live, obviously. So far we've talked about the sprinkler warehouse. That costs a lot of money. So I was thinking that was the problem. The second thing we just talked about is my top line managers, which are overhead, right? Payroll overhead. They're not employees that bring in money. Um, they do in a sense that they do estimates, they manage the workers, You know what I'm saying? They make sure that the operations of the business is flowing good, right? Efficient. No, there's when somebody, a crew doesn't show up or a truck breaks down or, you know, customers cancel, we're on it, right? Everybody's on it. We got all these, me and the six others are, we make sure that the crews are busy, right? And worst case scenario, they'll make sure to send somebody home if, like, if there's nothing to do because we can't fit another job in or something like that. So no, they don't actually bring in money like revenue, but they keep the flow of the operations going, which ultimately brings in money. So, you know, you struggle thinking, is this worth it? Is it worth paying these high wages for this crew, for this team of top line managers? And to be honest with you, first of all, I'll say yes, because we were poised for growth this year. We were really trying to go to 3 million or more this year, from 2.1. That was really our goal. I know that's like a crazy, crazy goal. 2.3 to 2.7 was our realistic, we should do no problem kind of thing going into the year. So I wanted to push three, and I thought, well, so I've got our team set up for growth. We just, and I'll go into some of the reasons why, we're having record months, which is amazing too. But the thing is, we didn't start working till, we weren't on the ground working March and April. We really started making money in May. So May, June, July, and August. So basically, we've been operating for 4 months, and we're at 1.5 right now. So we've been having a good month, or a good year as far as the 4 months that we've worked. But because of the other 2 months, so six altogether, and paying all our guys, it's been so tough. So far, I was blaming the year on the sprinkler warehouse, and I don't mean like bad year. I mean like revenue. Like our cash flow is not good. That's what not good means right now for us. We've got the sprinkler warehouse. What's up, Bill? Appreciate you, man. Um, I'm just going over some of the reasons why I've had a bad year, which I've pinpointed it now, but I'm kind of slowly explaining uh, my thought process this year, right? So I bought the sprinkler warehouse, thought that was the problem, and then we've talked about, um, damn it, I can't remember now. Good morning. What's up, Poison Ivy? What up, man? Um, so the other thing was, I blamed it on not having a good early spring, like March and April. Normally we kill it those months, so we haven't done that. Um, so the warehouse, the the slow spring, the top line managers, right? What else was the reason? So here's the thing, guys. When I don't know what month it was. I'm gonna say it was like June, the middle of June, possibly even the beginning of June. Payroll was the next day, right? It was, so my payroll is on Wednesdays. We pay everybody on Wednesday, and it was Tuesday. So payroll was the next day, and we were $20,000 short. All right, I mean that is just insane, right? To think about. And it was like, how the hell are we $20,000 short on payroll tomorrow? And this was in June. And I was just kind of like scratching my head, going, "What the hell?" You know what I mean? Um, so I had to take money from my other accounts, right? From like the winter fund, or I don't remember exactly what funds I was taking it from, but I had to make payroll, so I had to take money from other accounts that I've been historically for the last 5 years have always transferred money from my deposits into all these other accounts from Profit, like Profit First. That's what I do. And it was like, how the hell am I $20,000 short? So anyway, I pulled the money, and just scratching my head, going, "Man, that was weird," you know. And then um, the next week, it was again Tuesday, and we were $18,000 short, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what the hell is wrong here?" So I, again, had to take money from other accounts. And I'm trying to figure out what is going on. At this point, we're 2 weeks with $18,000 to $20,000 short on payroll, and I'm thinking, all right, let me bring in Rachel, my office manager, and let her see what's going on here. Like, this is weird, you know. Um, so then the next week, we were, if I remember right, we got it down to where we were only $8,000 short on payroll. And mind you, this whole time I'm pulling money from other accounts, right? So it's like things were for basically 1 month worth of working. I already had at that time, probably like $45,000 in profit, right? Like for 1 month of working, it was basically in saving accounts, and I had to pull them to make these payrolls, right? So I'm like, so technically, I didn't have any extra money. I just didn't know it. You know what I mean? So then the next week, we were just short like $5,000, and at that point, I started fudging my profit first numbers. So like instead of putting away like 50% for payroll, I changed it to 60. And I was just like, this is crazy. How is labor 60 freaking percent? So anyway, we got it down to where I could kind of manage it. Things were still pretty tight, but it wasn't like we were 10, 20, $18,000 short anymore. We were just, you know, I just had to pull a little bit of money from the new deposits right before payroll, and we covered payroll. You know what I mean? So, but I'm still like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. At this point, it's like beginning of July, and I'm just like, actually, even before July, I'm like, something is wrong. Something's wrong, and I don't know what it is because I've never had this issue, you know? Um, so basically, I've talked to people. I'm not gonna, like, I have people that I pay outside of my company to help me with numbers, um, to kind of help me figure out what's going on. But I don't pay them to actually figure out what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I pay them to tell me either I'm doing good or I'm doing bad. That's all the financial people that I pay. It's just like that. I don't expect them to run my business because I've never had a problem. You know what I mean? And then when I had those payrolls that were like $18,000 short, $20,000 short, I didn't think to call them, because I never had that kind of advice or guidance from, financial people like that. And I don't pay them for that, so of course I didn't think about it. And not that I ever need to still. I don't even know if like the people that I pay to handle my books and stuff do that kind of thing. But I do meet with somebody quarterly, and basically gives me benchmarks of where I should be with percentage wise with expenses, and forecasting, things like that. So I don't know. And I'm just mentioning that in case somebody says, "Well, you should have talked to, somebody." But the truth is, it just kind of happened so fast, that I wasn't. I just didn't know who to call because I never had this issue. You know what I mean? So anyway, so that's been going on. So we've been doing much better with the warehouse parts because now it's only like $100 a day. Maybe $1,000 a week. At this point, it's less than that, but when it's super busy, that's actually pretty cheap for all the sprinkler jobs that we were doing. We were doing about 16 to 20 sprinkler jobs a day, and that just kind of started slowing down the last 2 weeks, because pretty much everybody's got their sprinkler work done. And then the slow spring, there's nothing we can do, but we've had record months. Do you know what I mean? Like record months. I think we did over 350K in June. I mean, that's just like boom, crazy, right? So, and then we started like figuring out, well, is it the top line managers? You know, is that the problem? Yes, it's part of the problem for sure, but it's not the only problem. Um, Rachel did a deep dive. Rachel did a deep dive into our expenses. Okay, she tracks every dollar that we spend. She tracks it. Like if somebody bought a candy bar at a gas station, she would see it. You know what I mean? As long as they use a credit card, which is the only way our employees have access to our money anyway. So, so she did a deep dive, and it turns out that was the problem. That's the problem. The expenses, man. The expenses was a clear picture of what we were doing. I don't know if Kurt's on here, but my boy Kurt mentioned that uh, in one of the Facebook groups that I'm in, and and I did look into that. It's something I've been wanting to do. Also, like I've wanted to do that. I mean, we spend crazy amount of money every day. If you really think about every single charge that gets charged, you know what I mean? From gas to tools to materials to everything, right? It's like so many things get charged every day, and where can you save? So here's the final verdict of what the problem was this whole year. It's kind of a combination, right? It's a combination of the top line managers that aren't bringing in any revenue, but we're paying them out, and the expenses, man. So we've been spending, if I remember the number, I want to say 26% more than we're bringing in on expenses. Now that includes labor. You know what I mean? Um, it includes labor. It includes everything. What's up, Mike? So appreciate that. I'm definitely keeping my head up. I feel really good. Like mentioned earlier on when I first started this feed today, is I feel I'm blessed that we're going through this really hard time this year, and I still have my team. You know what I mean? Like I'm learning while still providing for my team, and we're getting through it. We're definitely hurting in our profit. We're not making a single penny in profit. We still have the rest of the year to kind of gain momentum and put some money away. But I'm kind of using this year as like an education year where I'm, dude, the things I've learned to get out of this mess is something that if I knew going into this season and it was a good year, imagine if it was a good year and I have all these new, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna call them systems. If I had this, when we implement the system, and next year we have a good like busy season, we're gonna kill. We're gonna crush. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. So I'm definitely keeping my head up. And but anyway, that's kind of the combination. So my good buddy Roy um, explained to me something that I could do with the my top line managers, right? So there's some basic fees that we could be charging um, that are kind of put into the job costing that we hadn't really thought about, and so and the reason why some of those like markups that are added into the cost of the quote or something like that or a bid, I never really thought about that, but because we do pay for performance and we track our man hour rates like so good, right? We keep track of that really well. Um, and so I was always under the impression that no matter how much money we brought in, it kind of went like the performance pay um, had basically all of the revenue that we brought in had a budget hour every penny, but that's not really the case. And that's something that I just found out like a week ago or less this week. Uh, no, maybe it was last week. I can't remember. But basically, we could we started adding some prices inside the quotes that have nothing to do with budget hours. So our guys are still going to have their budget hours when they get a job, like normal, but we've added kind of something in there so that our estimators can start bringing in money. And I never thought of that, but it feels awesome. Like it sounds great. It looks great. I feel super ethical about it. It's just the cost of the estimators now put into our estimates, which is something we thought we did in the past, but we didn't. So so anyway, that's something that's going to be added. The sprinkler dispatch fee. We used to call it well, we still call it a diagnostic fee. When we go out, we charge $79 for the tech to stand on the property. But if you accept the estimate, we'll apply that $79 to your bid. Going forward next year, we're not going to give that money back. In fact, we may even consider charging that at the office when the customer calls before we even send a tech out. And it's going to be a dispatch fee. So it's just going to be 70, or we haven't figured out how much it's going to be. I'm guessing it's going to be less than $79. I would like to keep it somewhere in like the $35, $39 just to send a tech out, but we are not refunding that money unless we don't give the customer a quote. You know what I mean? If we send a tech out, he goes out there and he can't figure out the problem, or he doesn't want to figure out the problem, then we're going to refund that dispatch fee. But if the customer gets an estimate, there's no refunding on that dispatch fee, and it's not applied to the quote or to the job total, and that will help pay for the estimators or the foreman of the sprinklers, who's not bringing any money, but he's managing. He's kind of super important. He's the glue that holds everything together, and he's not bringing in any revenue. So those dispatch fees are definitely going to help pay for that. So now, basically, we've covered, the estimators and the foremans. The foremans are going to start making money now, um, and then we figured something out with my shop guy. We are actually going to my shop guy is like passionate about towing, right? He loves towing. He wants to be a tow truck driver kind of thing. And so I went up to him yesterday and I was like, "Hey, you want to tow so damn bad. I'm actually going to tell you something here that's going to blow your mind. I for the sake of the company, for the survival of the company, I may actually need you to start towing. So you can start bringing in some money." So he's looking into that, and that's probably something we're going to start next year. And then so my operations manager, the one that's out there making sure the truck, the parts, the workers are routed, the whole works, everything he deals with out there, he'll start bringing in money if we set this tow truck thing up right. And he's kind of dealing with it, and he's basically teaching me kind of the ropes about it. I don't know. He's not like the best. He's not like a tow truck genius or anything, but he's passionate enough, and so if he wants to take it on, I'm willing to like hear him out and give it a shot, because if he can bring in revenue, that'd be great. And then as far as me and Rachel, we're the last two people that aren't bringing in any money. We're gonna start coaching. So like, I know I've talked about that in the past, where we've done coaching before, but I may actually really try pushing it next year. And so that'll be, we've got kind of a plan that we've been working on for like a year. And so every once in a while we will have somebody pay us to do this coaching, but we haven't gotten it down to where it's like material that they can take home or like fill out, kind of like almost like homework but for lawn care business, you know what I mean? So we're getting all that set up, and I think for the sake of the company, me and Rachel are really going to try and like put our heels in and try and do that, because that'll help with the wages of me and Rachel while we're getting past this like growth, right? The stretch where we've got the manpower basically of top line managers for like a $3 to $4 million company, but we're still at, from year to date, we're at 1.5. So you see what I'm saying? So we have to get past this hurdle, to where we're bringing in more money, and then we can all get back to like the way it was, right? Where the revenue that our workers will bring in will generate enough to keep this top line manager that's super expensive, like part of the overhead percentage that works. Because right now it just doesn't work because it's too top heavy. You know what I mean? And we've talked about who can we let go. Who can we fire? Because every one of those, like me included, right? If I'm like, if somebody like me was fired, if one of the 7 top line managers was fired, that would really help with revenue. But we need them. We need everybody. So it was something that we were just gonna, like put some brain power behind and try and figure out. And I think we got it. We got it really good. We've got it down. It's Saturday, and we already have payroll in the books. It's in an account ready for Wednesday. So we've got that. We've got a lot figured out. You know what I'm saying? We still just don't have. We know we don't have money for profit because we've looked at our expenses, and we're still spending a little bit too much more than we're making. So and I've got my tasks. I've given Rachel her tasks, and she's given Fernando and Jose tasks. So basically, all of us are going to be responsible for certain expenses, and we're going to hold each other accountable. So I can't spend more on equipment and vehicles. Like I'm going to have a budget that, as long as I stay within that budget, I can buy those things. And the same thing with the parts for the vehicles, like repairs and fuel and all those kind of things, right? So everybody's going to have responsibilities, and we're going to track them. So everything's going to be great. What's up, Dr. J Dub? What up? So Poison Ivy, when does my season start slowing down? Well, it kind of depends. For mowing, we're still rocking. We start slowing mowing down in like November, but even then, it's still like my season's go 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 until it stops. Like it's just like from one week to the next, there's nothing because of the snow, and that'll come in December. So we typically stop mowing like December 1st. You know, it is a little weird to mow in December, but with our weather and our type of grass, it actually, our grass likes cold weather. So when it starts getting colder, it'll start getting like kind of like a, what do you call it? Moist, moisture. And so the grass still grows until it's like really cold. Once it's like, I don't know, I guess I want to say like 20 degrees or less, that's when the grass stops. And I could be wrong on the exact temperature, but you know what I mean. So it's not uncommon for us to keep mowing June in November, but there are a lot of customers who want us to stop. They just don't want to pay anymore, and it's cold enough, and the grass is growing slower. It doesn't grow fast, so they're fine with canceling middle of November, and that's kind of what we do. And we start, you know, people start taking the winter off, and you know, so that's kind of how that works. Let's see here. What's up, Nelson? What's up, Landscapes? What is going on, everyone? And Michael with Quiet Lawn. Big Christmas lights season to fill your winter up. Yes. So I already did. I actually already got paid for a couple of sprinkler lights. I don't know. I didn't get paid, but they said do it, and I do have their cards on file. I just got it, and I've got them scheduled. So, but yeah, I've got kind of a plan with who's gonna do them. I've got a Mo guy who is super awesome at doing Christmas lights, and you know I love doing Christmas lights too. So, but I'm gonna just focus on sales this year, and not so much like the installations because we're gonna need a winter fund, guys. This is the first year that we're going into the winter as of now, right? I mean, we still have from now until December. We're not going to have a winter fund to pay our guys like we normally do. We do have customers that have already paid for snow, so we've already got some snow savings that I'm not going to touch until you know we start paying our winter workers. But so we've had one, two, three, four, five, six customers already prepay for winter, and that just with the six, that put a lot of money into our winter fund. Not a whole ton of money, right? You know what I mean? It's like, but it's a nice little start, you know, for it being this early in the season. So, but Rachel, I basically gave Rachel authority of the winter workers in the office. We're going to be scheduling a week out for office workers. You know what I mean? So like if it didn't snow this week, there's no work next week, that kind of thing. So if we brought in, let's say, you know, I don't know, enough revenue to pay for, you know, three people to work 20 hours, then they're gonna have 20 hours on the schedule, and we're gonna do that every week. And Rachel's in charge of it. I said you're in charge of it because that way you can monitor it, and it's kind of on you to make sure that we're covering our costs. So, and it's a good thing. She's fine with that. That's basically going to be her winter job, basically. Um, did you get much snow last year compared to the years before? Yes, we did. Landscapes of America. Um, the problem is that I had last year, and it wasn't horrible. Like it was okay, but last year, and the probably the last 4 years before that, maybe even 5 years before that, I only had enough snow accounts to keep my main people, like the people that I do not want leaving for the winter. I gotta have them paid. Um, that's what I had. Sorry, I shook my camera. I want to see how bad it was. Okay. Um, I basically just had enough work to keep like four people like super busy because I didn't want to lose them. Well, last year I was kind of going into the winter with the same mindset. You know, we don't need a whole bunch, so let's not do estimates until December. Let's basically tell people we don't know if we're doing snow this year, you know, that kind of stuff. And but it turned out that I ended up we had 15 people over the winter that I didn't want to lose. 15. And you know how crazy that is? We had like, and I wanted to keep them all paid like good. So that was, you know what? I'm going to add that to my list of mess ups this year, you know? Snow, I'm going to say for 22, 23, payroll. My payroll over the winter, no joke, was $14,000 a week. $14,000 a week I paid out during the winter. This was basically all of my winter fun from the year before. So, so by the time, and let me tell you, snow didn't stop until the middle of April. So we couldn't do any yard work until like the middle of April, and that was crazy. And we were so far into it, paying everybody. Because normally we stop paying everybody March 1st, and then we go into the normal working season. You know what I mean? And with the revenue that comes in, and you know what? Don't work today. We don't. But we were always super busy. So by the time March 1st came, and it was too cold and too icy to do anything, even though it wasn't actually snowing, we couldn't do anything on the yards. I didn't want to like tell guys you're cut off at this point because any day now we were going to start. You know what I'm saying? But it turned into days, turned into weeks, turned into months. And it was like, dude, it literally killed me. It killed us. So all the prepay money that came in February, which was like 170K, went to payroll, like immediately to finish, to keep paying the guys, to keep paying them. So by the time we actually started, which was, you know, I'm going to say May, because it stopped, like the sun started coming out middle of April, like 2 weeks left in the month. And we were, at that point, we were starting to schedule stuff. It was still slow going. We were really ramping up in May. I couldn't, all the money that came in, we were at zero bank account. You know what I'm saying? So that money like fueled us, and it was like we were running on fumes right from the start, if you look at it that way. So that was the other reason why we had a bad year. We're having a bad year, but again, it's not like a super bad year. We're still have all our workers, all our strong workers. Everything's still operating. We're just learning how to deal with numbers way better than we've ever dealt with, right? I'm not a numbers guy, but I'm telling you, I've learned a lot of number stuff this year because it's super important for growth. Planning is something that now I understand. I never understood that before because we just made so much money that I thought, oh, we're gonna do a new division. Yeah, let's just do it. Here's the money. Boom, go get it done. Like, let's do it, and then we start making money. But this year, I wasn't planning with the overhead of our top line managers, and so that's kind of where we left it. And we're lowering costs. We got the cost down to, I want to say 8% over what we're spending, which is, that's fine, right? I mean, it's not fine, but from 26 down to 8, and now we've made some more changes. So we've probably got that down a little bit more. At this point, we just need more revenue. I know that's not the final answer. Definitely, that's not my final answer. We're still going to be working on our expenses. We're going to be working on basically all those things that I've talked about, you know. But that's kind of how my years went. I'm definitely really humbled, right, with this year. Like I truly thought we would never have a year like this. Like I honestly thought we were like invincible. I did. It's crazy to think that now, but I never thought we would have problems like this. And so I went to a talk earlier this year. It was probably in March, and I learned that there are some growing pains, which we all know this, right? But it was just explained to me in a really nice way. I can't really remember how it was explained, but basically, um, there are stages, we'll say from like 2 to 5, right? Or 2 million to 4 million is gonna be really hard. So you got to make some plan. You got to do some real planning. Once you're at like, and again, I'm just throwing these numbers out because I don't remember exactly, but let's say you're at 4 million. From that point, it's really easy to get to 5 million because at that point you've already got the customer base, you've got the strong team, strong system, and you kind of are prepared for that kind of growth, and it's not a big deal. But from, we'll say, 2 to 3, it's hard because you got to have the capacity and the top line managers for $3 million business because you're going to get there soon, but you're at zero. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's just tough like that. But one of the things that we got to keep going with is make this a real like snow business kind of thing. So winter comes, we've got revenue coming in. When spring comes, we just make the transition, and we're still using cash flow. We're not using reserves. That's something that it takes to get to that other level that we need to get to. We didn't do like for a company like me, where snow was just something I did to keep my guys busy, like the important ones busy, not to keep like regular cash flow going or to pay all the bills. I basically used savings to pay my bills for the winter because I only wanted to do enough snow to keep my guys that I really wanted busy. And we did last year, we did over 300K on just snow. So, and that was not really pushing like we're going to push this year. This year, dude, it'd be amazing if we could do 600K in winter in snow removal. That would, and with all the stuff I've learned this year, so far, if we can get, like, if we really hone in on this stuff and really implement the new shit we've learned, basically, we're gonna be really strong next year. You know. So anyway, let's read some of these before I head out. Landscapes. We got no snow last year here in Philly, which is weird. Then again, it only got to 90 degrees 13 times this year. Yeah, you never know, right? If it's gonna be a good year. I've got workers that swear it's gonna be like even busier than last year. Snow, like heavier snow than last year, and then I've got other people that are like, it's not going to snow because last year it snowed so much. So you just never know. I've never found anything to be reliable. And sorry, Walter, I missed you, man. What's up, dude? Sorry, I don't know if I said hey. Um, I just got caught up on a rant, I guess. What's up, man? Hope you're doing good, bro. And Bill, what changed this year that you learned so much? Events that you attended? Um, yeah, I've attended events for sure. But some of these events that I've been going to are just reinforcing my systems that I already have. Obviously, I'm learning new things and applying new things, but for the most part, it's just reaffirming my current systems and tweaking them and stuff like that. But I guess what's changed was um, bad data that I've accumulated on my own for a couple of years. So, for example, I had some of my overhead staff labeled as field workers, right? So, like, we'll say my garden estimators who don't actually bring in revenue, I had them in as field workers because I thought they're out in the field, you know what I mean? And they're managing the teams and making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. So that's part of the field overhead. And then I was only tracking like my phone person as inside overhead and maybe Rachel. and not even me. You know what I mean? I was like, no, I'm owner, so it's different, you know. But I should have been categorizing myself as overhead payroll as well. So so going into the new year, I thought we were at like 2% overhead payroll. So when you factor in your man hour rates, they were way off. You know what I'm saying? Like it was way off. So basically, um, that's where all our money went. You know, if I didn't have like this overhead inside the office, I'd have almost 200K in the bank right now. You know, um, and it's not like you just raise prices. You know, our prices are already pretty high. So it's just a matter. It's just a matter of like managing when people start coming in for the year. You know, that's another thing, guys. Let me before I wrap this up. I just want to mention one thing that I kind of learned. But there's two sides to it, right? There's the angel on this side and the devil on this side. You know. So here's the thing. As a lawn care business, we all want to like pay our workers year round, right? You want to pay them all year. That's the goal, that's the dream, right? We would love to do that. And we almost pulled it off. I almost pulled it off. And when I mean by like pay everybody, I mean everybody, you know, everybody. And a good wage, like not something, oh, it's just for winter. No, this is like they're still making good money. They can still apply for an apartment in the middle of January and show good pay stubs, like real legit good money. It's all our dream. It's our dream, right? We all say we want to do that for our workers, and we do. And we almost pulled it off, guys. We almost pulled it off. It was March 1st came around, and we would have been ready. We would have been making money, but it just didn't happen. So what I've come to realize is, unfortunately, in this industry, you can't pay everybody all year. You just can't. There's got to be people you have to lay off. Like, and I don't mean like specific people. It's like positions or anybody without a driver's license or because if they can't do snow, they can't work. You know what I mean? And you got to lay people off. You have to. Um, Unfortunately, that's a sad truth with our industry. Um, you know, there are ways to still support your workers, letting them go on seasonal unemployment or even paying them a little bit like you know like pay them a winter like stipend that is really low but enough to keep them kind of able to kind of do the bare necessities, you know what I'm saying? um, but paying them big salaries all winter, um, just to keep them. Unfortunately, it's not something this industry can do, and I basically wrapped my head around that this year and come to terms with that, and I realized that that's just the way it is. Um, we almost pulled it off, so that's the angel side of my shoulder saying you can do it, or maybe that's the devil, right? I don't know, but you know we were so close and we still couldn't pull it off. Maybe we just need to kind of work on that until you have a solid foundation of winter, like not just theory, not just saying you can do it or in theory on paper looking at it. You actually have to do it for a year or two, and then you can kind of maybe have a higher stipend to pay people because you kind of have a system figured out. But when you're just kind of like going from just barely enough work to pay for your top guys so that they're happy and they're going to be there at the beginning of the season to paying basically your whole payroll, your regular payroll, I wouldn't jump to that so fast. In this industry, you just can't really do that. So that's pretty much all I'll say about all this. But let me read some of these. It's totally cool. Walter, what's up? It's totally cool. Keep publishing, bro, or keep pushing, bro. You taught me so much. Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad you're having a good year. Keep that going too. You know, I too am having a pretty good year in certain aspects. You know, I never thought, I don't know, I never thought we'd be doing 350, 360K a month. And it's unfortunately this year, because of the way that cash flow is going and spending money, we might as well be making $7,000 a month. You know what I'm saying? So the 360 is just being diminished by my lack of planning, but it should never happen again. I'm more than ready now. Uh, that's the toughest part of this business, keeping the guys paid in the winter. Yes, it is. But I think one of the things that I would kind of advise people in this industry that are, that they have more than, I would say, 3 to 4 people they want to make sure they're paid all winter, is just get it through your mind that this is an industry where you can't really have a full your normal team all year round. You can't, and that's probably why their seasonal employment is available for companies like us. Because they just know you can't do that. We almost pulled it off, but we didn't. So that's taught me that I just can't do that. Now, another last thing about the snow. So I was paying my guys, let's say roughly on average, $900 to $1,000 a week. All my guys last year for winter. So this year, when I started, trying to figure out my lowering my costs and all this stuff, I I looked at everybody's clock in and clock out time that for the winter last year, and you will be surprised. Like, yes, we had a record winter. Okay, so you would think that our guys were out there day and night, and it felt like they were. It really did. It felt like they were there all the time, out working. But I looked at their average, guys. Their average hours for the week, okay? This is average, is less than 10 hours of work time from clock in to clock out, average from December to March. So that really opened up my eyes too. So basically, if you think about it, my guys were making about $100 an hour working winter. Yes, it's awesome to pay your guys, yes, but there's a point where it's like ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically what I did. So when I looked at that, I figured, you know what? If your average is 10 hours a week, well, you don't need to be making that much. And if I've got guys that are going to be upset with me this year because they were paid way higher last year, and going into the winter, this is the new agreement. I'm going to let them go, because at this point, dude, I've got to think about the company. The company is the top priority, not me, but the company. And so that's kind of my year, guys. I don't know. That's kind of what I've been going through, been thinking. In fact, I even mowed 2 days this week because we had two guys who didn't want they're badass. I had two badass garden maintenance guys who were refusing to mow. Why were they refusing to mow? Dude, I still don't understand. Like, mowing is so easy compared to what they normally do. So I was like really surprised. And they basically threatened to quit if they weren't going to just do garden work that day. And I was like, guys, if I need your help mowing, you got to mow, And so they were like, all right, well, we're leaving. And I'm like, okay, well, bye. So I stood my ground. I was upset. I had guys that were not guys. I had my top line managers were basically like, let's try and figure out this thing. Let's make it work with these guys. I'm like, I agree. I want them here, but they have to help. It's because we lost the mow guy, and so we didn't have a mow guy. So I had to go mow this week, and actually, I loved it, guys. I freaking loved it. It was I know it sounds corny as hell, but I was like in my element. You know what I mean? I was trimming around the mailboxes and mowing and making sure I was like doing extra good job on every property. Like, I was just like in my element. And I remember thinking, like, while I was mowing and like raising the deck with one hand and going, using the gears with the other hand, I was just like, I remember thinking, this is my jam. This is what I like to do. And it's really crazy because I haven't really done that. Like, I went out last year one time, but it was to train a new guy because we had a guy that was going on vacation. I wanted to hurry up and get this guy trained. So I went out one day and he was capable of doing it. So I just didn't go again. And then I think like 2 years ago, I went out again. I went out for like a day and I only had to do like 2 yards. But this time I had to, right? Like Fernando said he wanted to do it, but I honestly would rather have Fernando manage the gardens out there than him mow. I'd rather mow, since we were talking about this overhead for top line managers. Well, let me bring some money in myself. So I don't know. I just loved it, guys. It was really awesome. And in fact, I came back and I lost 6 pounds in 2 days, and I've been going to the gym every day, but I haven't lost that kind of weight. Not like mowing lawns. So anyway, I just kind of so I even went out and mowed this year. But let's see, J-Dub, wow, $100 an hour, yeah. Thanks for sharing. This is super helpful. I'm glad. That's kind of why I wanted to do this. I really do feel that I've got more to explain with this, on a one-on-one level with people, because again, yes, we're not bringing any profit. We're getting our asses kicked, but I'm still having my guys. I still have the work. We still have our customers. We still have our systems, our top line managers. The only thing that's hurting, which is horrible, but it's profit, right? It's like we're not bringing in any profit. And in fact, we lost a lot of profit also, not just not making any money. We also lost more profit before. But we're getting out of this hole, and we're going into the year going to be stronger, because if we're going into winter without a winter fund, I mean, things are going to be pretty intense around here. And I think that we're going to do it. I think we're going to do good. Because we already have a plan. We're already planning for it. In a way that's with budgets too, with budgets. Maybe half the weekly pay for snow. Yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking. I don't want to go into exactly what the process is here, because I haven't even talked to my my snow guys. Although I did mention to all my snow guys, I gathered them around as they were in the yard mowing or whatever this year, that my findings about how, like, hey, you only worked basically as crazy as the winter was last year. You really only clocked in for 10 hours every week. There have been weeks where you clocked in for 26, maybe even 30 hours, but then there have been other weeks where you didn't clock in at all. So the average was like 10 hours. And they were kind of like, really? And I was like, yeah. And so this is what we're thinking the pay is going to be if you choose to do snow. You don't have to, it's fine. But if this is this is how much you're going to get paid, we're not going to expect you to work after a certain hour every day. So you can find another job, for a nighttime job if you want. So that's kind of the approach we're taking with that. It feels good to be back sometimes, to get out of your normal routine. That's for sure. And the cool thing too this year, as an owner, right? You're out there mowing lawns and you're just kind of like in your space, but I wasn't stressed about like the phones. Nobody called me. It was almost like, I don't know, but it was almost like everybody that usually calls me got together and said, hey, don't call Freddie. He's mowing today, so let us deal with what we're supposed to deal with. Because nobody called me. Nobody. And that was a day that the two guys quit. They're back now. And I'm grateful that they're back. And we've worked out a good agreement. Nothing like, I stood my ground even to now. Like, I didn't compromise on anything. I just told them, if they come back, this is what I expect. And they know I'm serious. I know that they weren't happy. So that gives me something to try to work on as well. Because I don't want people like that. I don't want people upset. I want them happy. So I've learned too, but I can't compromise on getting the jobs done. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you got all these jobs, you got all these workers, it needs to get done. I can't have this picking and choosing kind of stuff. And we it's easy to say that, but it's different when it's in your face and you've got to actually tell workers like, hey, I'm sorry, you got to do this. And knowing that they can walk away and still holding your ground, I'm really proud of myself for that. And And in some weird way, I'm proud of them too for doing that, because it shows that what they really want to do here, as far as work. But and it also is a good situation because we got together about the whole thing, and we're fine. Everything seems like it's great, back to normal. So, all right, guys, I may stay on for one more second here. I do have an office person coming in. He's parking right now, and I don't want to be too loud while he's on the phone calling leads and stuff like that. By the way, I've had, like, my optometrist, my eye doctor says I have, like, the driest eyes he's ever seen. So for 3 weeks, I can't wear contacts. Or yeah, I can't wear contacts. So that's why I'm wearing glasses. What's up, Edward?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm just finishing up on a live here.
Cool.
And so, guys, if you have any questions, put them in the comments. And I'll try and answer you. Again, I haven't done a live in a long time. I said I wasn't going to do them anymore, but I had to get this out because this information could help people. And I actually feel like going through this and getting out of it, I'm in a good position to kind of help people to not get into this situation. And that's partly why I wanted to have this live today. So anyway, thanks guys. Appreciate you. Catch you on the next one.